Welcome to today's Monday Morning Muses. Thank you for being patient with me last week. This week wasn't much better, and I'll get into that in a moment. But I just was rather tired last week and needed a recuperation day after Easter. And I could have used one today, too. But it's good to be with you and to be able to share. So just thoughts here for the next few minutes about the messiness of life. Life is messy, and should I embrace it? That's kind of the theme we want to go with this today in this Monday Morning Muses, and I'm glad that you've joined me. And again, if this is important to you, something that means something to you, go ahead and share it on your Facebook timeline or other social media. We'd love to distribute it around, and so it might encourage some other people as well. And you see, 2 times a year, I I clean my desk at work. And it's a tradition for me. Now, I probably clean my desk more than just twice a year, but I'm talking about the real thorough cleaning of my desk in my office, and it gets it usually after Christmas and after Easter, after those 2 busy times where things really stack up on my desk. I decide all of a sudden that I need to get at it. Now, don't get me wrong, I clean it up during the year at other times too. I'll straighten out my stacks or whatever, but twice a year I try to do a very thorough cleaning because I'm a pretty messy guy. I've told a number of people that come into my office that you hear people say that, yeah, they have their piles of stuff on their desk, but they know where everything is. Well, I have 2 main piles off to the left side of my desk, and I don't know what's in there. I can guess, since there's only 2 piles, that what I'm looking for is in one of them, but there have been many times when I've looked in those 2 stacks and it hasn't been there at all. So sometimes I think it just magically disappears, whatever it is I'm looking for. But anyway, so I'm not one of those people who have to put everything in its place before I go home at night. I'm tired, and I just want to get out of the office and go home and get something to eat or whatever. And so it just goes in my stack of stuff to do. Another reason why I put stuff in the stack is it's my way of procrastinating, of not wanting to deal with the issues sometimes. So if I just put it in that stack, it's magically going to get done somehow, right? None of you ever do that, do you? So today's that big day. But my desk is really symbolic of life itself. And I'm not just talking about my life. As I am privileged to be involved with other people in their lives, I see it there too. That so often life is really messy, and so let me give you an example of how messy my life has been lately. So usually you would expect, anyway, I believe, that a pastor, when he gets through Holy Week and through all the worship services, through Easter services and all that, he kind of schedules the next week to be a little bit easier so he can breathe again. Our office is always closed on Monday, but that caused another issue for me this week. You see, it wasn't worse than Holy Week, my week after Easter, but it wasn't better either. And part of the problem is that we had the office closed on Monday. And if I hadn't had the office closed on Monday, I wouldn't have had to work on my day off on Friday. I had some unexpected things happen during the week, and that's normal. But I knew my weekend was going to be pretty messy and difficult to deal with. On the Wednesday before Easter, I found out that I was going to be having to do this hike, and I'll get to that in a second. And that kind of threw me for a loop. But let me just kind of go through this, and maybe you can relate to it, and I hope you can chuckle at it too, because I believe God has a sense of humor. So a long time ago, I planned a Stephen Ministry retreat. Stephen Ministry is a caring ministry where one-on-one, men to men, women to women, they care for each other as they go through very difficult times. And we had just finished another class and hadn't done a retreat for all of our Stephen ministers for quite a while. So went out to the Penrose House, which is a beautiful place. They give it to not-for-profits to use on Saturdays for free. We sat in the boardroom where President Reagan and Gorbachev had met, and this huge conference table up there, beautiful acoustics. It's an amazing place. It was a real blessing. But I planned this retreat a long time ago, and why did I plan it for the week after Easter? I don't know, probably because I'm an idiot, and sometimes I don't think about the bigger picture. it was available. We got it done. And so I asked a couple of people to help me out with that retreat because they are very gifted and they were unable to do that. I asked another person who said yes, and then the week before, a week and a half before the retreat, the Army sent him down to San Antonio, and so he wasn't going to be there, so it fell on my shoulders. At the same time that happened, I found out that I was to go on a hike with my mentee, who I'll be with in Yellowstone National Park this summer, and we did a hike that afternoon, and so I had to arrange for somebody else to come in, and graciously a member of our congregation came in and led the afternoon part of that retreat so that I could go on a hike with my mentee. Now, understand this is springtime in the Rockies, right? And so Saturday when I left here, this is April 22nd, all right? Saturday when I left my house, it was snowing, and it was snowing quite a bit. Not sticking on the roads, but it was sticking in our grass pretty well. And so I'm going down for the retreat in the morning. I'm going, hey, maybe they'll cancel the hike in the afternoon. But no, it cleared up, and probably about 2.5 mile hike, and I don't know how many feet up we climbed. But and I got home, and I always prepare Saturday night. Saturday night's my time to get ready for Sunday morning, and still had that to do. I got home, my body ached like it hadn't ached in years, and I couldn't hardly concentrate to get ready for Sunday. And Sunday was a big day. You know, you'd think again the Sunday after Easter would be kind of a slower Sunday, but this was our Honduras Sunday. And so I led the worship, preached, and then after that we had a get together of the Honduras ministry team. So that was great. It was wonderful going there. As I'm there, a member of that team reminded me that there was a party that afternoon for a member of our congregation who and her husband who were moving to Omaha. And so I knew I wanted to go to that as well. And so I went over to that party afterwards. Finally got home after all, so 5:00, and my life was a mess. And I didn't. And then I came home and I barbecued a steak, and I wasn't in the best of attitude until I got some food in my stomach, and then I didn't go to sleep until midnight. Why is that? I don't get it. Life is messy, and all these stuff going on. So, okay, I use that not to say, hey, have sympathy for me. You know, they have great weekends where you don't have any of that, but that was a great weekend too. I had a good time. Every moment in that was really special and important to me. But it was messy, and it wasn't well prepared. And maybe you have weeks like that too. And I share that just so maybe you can empathize with something you've gone through lately in your life and to understand. Should we embrace that messy life? And I know that I've said that to people at times in my pastoral counseling, and their life gets pretty messy, and kind of say in roundabout ways, just embrace it at this time. And I've done some musing about that over time now, and I don't think that's what God intends us to do. I don't think we should embrace the messiness of life, but to embrace the one who stands in the midst of that messy life that is around us and surrounds us. God created this world from chaos, out of nothingness. God created this world, and if you walk through the 6 days of creation, you see God bringing more order, more structure to a world, to a universe that was chaotic, and God is responsible for that. That's how God does it. And then we, human creatures, bring chaos to the order that God created by sinning against Him and saying we want to be God. And as soon as we do that, everything falls apart for us human creatures, right? And so chaos is now part of our life, and we're responsible for it. God is not. And so what happens? We just went through Lent and Holy Week and Easter. And in the main story of Scripture, in the heart and core of the Bible, we have Jesus dying on the cross for us and rising from the dead for us. And in His death and resurrection, He once again establishes order in the midst of our chaos. Now, the chaos doesn't go away. The messiness of life doesn't go away. And for some of you, you're laughing at my weekend saying, that's nothing. Let me tell you about my life, not just my weekend. And in the midst of that, God encourages us to embrace Jesus, to embrace his death, and embrace his resurrection, and understand that as messy as life can get at times, he is the one who stands above our mess. He's the one that we embrace and hold on to and cling to during those times of messiness. Now, I got to remember that when I clean my desk off today. And I'll try to post a couple of pictures of before and after picture of my office and see if there's any improvement for you. But then again, I may procrastinate and not get to it today. That's the way life is. This Wednesday, Rochelle Hecker and I are recording a podcast they'll come out on Monday, May 1st. And it's going to be on tolerance, and I'm toying with the title on it, "The Intolerance of the Tolerant." And I ran across an interesting blog recently on why are people who claim to be proponents of tolerance so intolerant, and we'll be taking on that topic. I don't know where it's going to go yet. I haven't outlined it yet. I haven't done all my research I want to do on it, but I hope you will join us for that podcast that will come out next Monday, as well as our next Monday morning Muses. Thank you for spending a little time with me this morning. I know I went a little over my 10-minute limit here, but you are great. I love you, and thank you so much for being a part of this very important ministry of the Monday morning Muses.